Thanks for tuning in. This is Stephen Meadows. I just wanted to take a quick moment to tell you about Anchor FM. It is the easiest way to start your own podcast. I thought it was going to be hard. It's actually not. The best part is that Anchor is free. That's right, it's free. There are amazing creation tools where you can record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor handles the distribution for you, so your podcast can be heard on all the major podcast channels like Spotify, Apple, Google, and so many more. And the coolest part is you can actually make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It really is everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So go to anchor.fm on your computer or download the Anchor app from your app store and get started today. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Mind Your Business. I'm Stephen Meadows. In today's episode, I'm going to touch on a couple of different topics. The first is talking about priorities. The second will be time management, and they actually both apply, or they both are related. So recently, I had a little bout of I just didn't feel good for about 2 weeks. I was tired. I didn't have any energy. It was just really difficult to get motivated to do anything. Um, that on top of just general stress, I'm going to caveat this by saying I absolutely love what I do. I love my job, love my company. So when I say stress, it is not a bad stress. It is more of just I've got a lot to do. I have a lot of projects I'm working on. I have a lot of amazing tools and services I'm trying to bring forward to my agents. The company's growing. I just have a lot going on. And so overall, that's a general stress. So I definitely don't want to sound like, woe is me. Everything's so horrible. No, I'm very happy with what I'm doing. However, it all adds up. It definitely starts to wear on you when you have tons of things going on. And those of you who know me know that I am like, I I'm a side project person. Like I've always got something going on. I just recently in the month of February had published my 17th title for my publishing company. So I've personally written 6 books, but this was the 17th book that my publishing company has actually released. So of course that takes time. And then I have all these other projects that I'm involved in. And it finally just came down to where I had to take a good hard look at myself and how I do my business and how I live my life and say, what has to give? I've got to let something go. I've got to reprioritize a little bit. And that got me thinking, what would I do with that spare time? And also what's going to bring me the highest satisfaction, but also be the best use of my time. And so I ended up dropping a couple projects. I ended up trimming some other things down. The change to the podcast actually came out of that soul search, I guess you could call it. I had been doing a lot of videos, and then the videos were translating into the podcast. But videos are a very labor intensive enterprise. And I was finding that it was getting harder and harder to set aside the time to not only make the videos, but then to also edit them. And really, I wanted to make sure that I was bringing value. I didn't want to just make a video for the sake of I have to hit my quota. I got to make 8 videos a month. Better just come up with some random topics. So I decided to focus 100% of my energy on the podcast instead of video/podcast. So I've done away with the hidden gem portion videos, and I wanted to do longer, more in-depth topic discussions on the podcast. So that is one of the changes that I chose to make out of that exercise where I looked at all my side projects and decided what I could trim. And I made some other changes that I'm very happy about. I let a couple things go. I reprioritized. I re-delegated some of my resources and decided, this is something that I can if I can take this off my plate, this will free me up for other things. That's something I would highly encourage anyone to do, especially now when things are typically slower. I know this isn't for those of you in real estate, it doesn't really feel like a slow time, but typically first quarter tends to be a little like you're ramping up, you're not quite as busy. I was always busy in the first quarter, but I know traditionally that's not the case. So I would look at some of the things that you're doing from in your business, from a business development, from lead generation, whatever it is, marketing. Take a good hard look at what's actually generating the business and what you're spending your time on. Because I think you'll find that you're spending a lot of time on things that are not generating you business, and you need to shift your focus. So your focus should be primarily on the activities that are actually returning money. If I'm spending 3 hours a day on Facebook, have I gotten any business from Facebook? Is Facebook helping me build my brand? Is Facebook generating me any leads, any business? If the answer is no, if you can't point to any business that you've gained from Facebook or how Facebook, social media in general, not to pick on just Facebook, how social media is, if it's not generating you business, then you need to reprioritize how you're utilizing that resource. I would not tell you to stop because I think social media is an important part of any marketing plan, but don't spend 80% of your time on something that's only generating 20% of your business. It should be the reverse. You should be spending 20% of your time on something that's generating 80% of your business. So, what's really driving the business? Is it making, calls to my sphere of influence? Is it sending handwritten notes? Whatever. Spend the time on that. That is kind of the exercise I had to go through and it wasn't just money for me, but in business is what's making me money, what's not making as much money, and what can I outsource? You guys have heard me say before, you can be cheap and you can be lazy, but you can't be cheap and lazy and still be successful. So maybe you're doing things that you could outsource. Uh, and you might say, well, I don't want to pay anybody to do X. Okay, well, let's take social media. Let's stick on that topic. Let's say you're spending an hour a week researching content and scheduling out your posts and such. Now, an hour a week might be much. Let's say 30 minutes a week. Okay, well, I'll be nice. 2 hours a month, 30 minutes a week, 2 hours a month, finding content and getting it all scheduled. There are services out there that you can pay for much, much, much less than your time is worth. If your time is worth, let's just pick $50 an hour, which is actually quite low for a successful salesperson. Your time is worth $50 an hour, and you just spent 2 hours in the month doing your social media posting. That's $100. If you can find someone to do it for you for less than $100, you're ahead, and you should make that investment. Funny you should ask, at the end of this podcast, there is actually a special offer. And in the notes, there's an offer where you can actually get the service for $45 a month for Facebook. Just throwing it out there. It's a company that I've kind of helped get off the ground with some advice and things like that. So I'm always happy to help them out. But they provide a service like that for only $45 a month with the coupon. And anybody, I challenge anyone to show me how you doing it yourself is a better use of your time than paying someone $45. I'm sorry, your time's worth a lot more than that. You need to give yourself more credit. So when you're evaluating what you're spending your time on, you also need to look at the time value of money. I just found an app that sounds really fascinating. It's called Stuff, and it's on the App Store. And it's basically $50 a month for unlimited tasks. And I read through it and I was like, what is this? This is actually really interesting. Unfortunately, it's not anything that I could really use because it's not meant for business. It's meant for like personal tasks. Like it's like a personal assistant, like, oh, make dinner reservations, find me tickets to this, book my travel. Well, I don't need help with all that. But it was fascinating. And I thought, oh my gosh, what could I do if I could spend $50 a month? What could I do if I had someone where I could just send them a message and say, hey, do X? I mean, I racked my brain trying to think of things that I could delegate out to this random team of people for $50 a month. Unfortunately, haven't found anything yet, but I'm still thinking about it. I wish I could, have someone like in person do stuff for me. Like, here, write these cards for me or do whatever. Anyway, those are the kinds of things you need to think about for your business. I go back to the cheap and lazy thing. Your time is worth money, and you need to think about it in those terms. How much money slash time am I spending on this activity? Is this activity generating me any business? If it's not, do I need to stop it or do I need to reprioritize it? So that brings me to the second topic of time management is how are you spending that time? How are you allocating that time? And are you setting aside enough time to do the tasks that need to be done? So I'm going to pick one thing, whether it's cold calling for business or cold calling for recruiting. If you're a manager or something, I'm just going to use them both. So I'm just going to call it calls. You're making your calls. Okay. If you need to make X number of calls a day. Let's say it's 5. My goal is to talk to 5 people every day. Okay? Let's say that that's the goal. 5 live contacts. Well, if you remember from a previous episode when I talked about funnel, 5 live contacts is not you're not going to get 100% of people to answer the phone every time if you're going to use the phone. So you can't just say I'm going to make 5 phone calls because that's not going to necessarily give you 5 live contacts. So you need to back it out and go, okay, maybe that's 10 phone calls, maybe that's 15 phone calls, whatever the number is. I'm going to make 5 live contacts a day. What's the best way to go about that? Is it randomly doing it when you're thinking about it throughout the day? Or is it better to carve out some time, maybe shut yourself in a room, lock the door, put a sign on the door, whatever you have to do, and keep dialing until you've hit your 5? Personally, I think time blocking is way more efficient if you actually set aside the time it's going to take. It's like I'm going to devote up to an hour for this, and I'm going to lock myself in a room and I'm just going to dial for dollars, I guess you could call it. And you can get creative. There are ways, texting, email. There are multiple ways that you can make contact with people. So I'm not saying you can't do other things, but whatever you do, it needs to be focused. So if I'm going to send out handwritten cards and Facebook messages and text messages, whatever it is to my sphere of influence, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to carve out time every day. It's better if it's the same time every day, or maybe mix it up. Like on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I do it at 8 a.m. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I do it at 4 p.m. Maybe you mix it up to give yourself and give other people a change. Catch them at different times. But carve out that time. Don't answer your phone unless it's somebody calling you back. But even then, I wouldn't. If I make an outbound call and I get voicemail, but I still have like 5 more calls to make or 3 more calls to make, don't answer your phone. Because what happens when you drop everything for that is you're basically signaling that I have nothing else better to do. I was literally waiting for your call. So if you block the time, then actually block the time. Don't answer your phone, put it on do not disturb, whatever, so it won't even ring. But don't answer emails, don't answer text messages, just make your calls and be done with it. The same thing applies for personal time. I'm preaching to the choir on this one. I am horrible, horrible, horrible at personal time. I'm always looking at my phone. I'm always answering emails. I'm always answering text messages. I'm just really bad about that. But if you schedule out personal time, I teach a class called The Routine at our company, and it's a time management kind of productivity course. And one of the things I talk about is making sure that you're leaving time for personal time and personal projects. If you're blocking that time, then block the time. If I have it on my calendar from 2 to 3 that I'm working on X, and maybe X is I'm taking my aunt for, out to dinner, or I mean out to lunch or something, or I'm going to visit my grandmother or whatever it is, or I'm having coffee with my friend. It's personal time. Block it off in your calendar. Don't schedule over it. If someone calls you, I have to see this house right now. I'm sorry, I've got an appointment at 2, but I could meet you at 3:15. So make sure that you are respecting your own schedule, or else no one else will. So when it comes to time management, I'm a huge fan of time blocking. I think it's really important. And I think you'll be much happier and much more productive if you learn how to do it. So again, don't forget about uh, my quote unquote viewer mail or listener mail section that I'm trying to get up and running. You can use the link in the description and send me a voice message, or you can email me at info@cmvbooks.com. That's info@cmvbooks.com. That is also in the description. I would love to hear from you. If I choose your question, I will give you a shout out or even play your voice message on the podcast. So I would love, love, love to make this more interactive. So please, please reach out. That is all for now. Have a wonderful day. And as always, make amazing choices. Hey, one more thing before you go. I just wanted to tell you really quickly about an amazing service that I think you'll love. If you're in real estate and you are tired of trying to figure out social media content, I have got the thing for you. I helped a friend of mine develop a company called Gnome Marketing Group, and they offer Facebook page management for an incredibly low price. So basically, how it works is you sign up, you make them an editor on your business page, and they will post 12 different posts per week. So it's 2 per weekday, 1 on the weekend each day for you. You don't have to do anything. They have hashtags and everything. It's really great. And it's incredibly cheap. If you go to knowthegnome.com/coupon, you can sign up with my coupon code Steven45 and get it for $45 a month. That's incredibly cheap for someone to do all your social media posting for you on your business page. Again, that's Know the Gnome, KNOWTHEGNOME.com/coupon, and use my coupon code Steven45, STEPHEN 45, $45 a month. It's $30 off. It's an incredible price. I hope you take advantage of it. It's an amazing service. Have a great one.